Okay, we are live. We're back.
All right.
We are
Hello,
back.
everybody.
Anyway, yeah, we're working hard on definitely over this weekend. You could see that. I've never done back-to-back lives before, but we're putting out the information as we get it. Hello, chat room. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to a special live Advocates Live tonight. I told you all about what we're going to do tonight. So for those that are just joining us, wow, we've got people booming in here now. Carmela Elanzano, Feisty 60, Royalty, Don Williams, Majestic 716, Marcella Thomas, Benita Mack, Honey B, Thriller Media. Welcome
Thriller
back, brother.
Media. Thriller Media. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, how are
No,
you?
yeah, we getting content creators up in here tonight. We don't pull no punches. We got
Thriller
Dina.
Media is the one that I want.
Oh, okay. We got
Thriller
Lisa
Media.
Reeves
Wait
and
a minute.
Kimberly Wilkes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Butterfly Johnson. Josie C33.
Mm-hmm.
Diane Berdine. Welcome, everybody. Teddy
Yeah.
Hanna. Chacha Brady. Jose Martinez. God bless you too, brother. God bless you. Welcome. We have Miss Beverly back. Yeah, you know how we get started. We show and shout out much love to all of
Okay.
the supporters, all of the supporters who join us in tonight's live. We have
Hi,
a
K Money.
special.
How are you? I'm sorry. Hi, K Money. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, we got Kerenz Harris in the building, y'all. So we're gonna be kicking up a storm tonight and discussing a very important aspect of the Kenneka Jenkins case. And this is the side we have to really understand because it really puts all of our work together and helps us to understand the whole process of this case. We've been showing you videos, we've been sharing information, we've been covering the aspects of the case from the autopsy to the toxicology report to the police, Rosemont Police Report narratives. We've covered a barrage of
Mhm.
information, but this side of the case is the most important to understand because we are about to get into this case very shortly. In fact, Kerenz is going to cover some great detailed information as to what this process is, how it unfolds, what's involved. She's going to do a little bit of a highlight on the attorney, the attorneys that are involved and that represent Teresa Martin, and a host of other information pertaining to tonight's live. So once again, we've got the room is building. You know, I like to take at least 5 minutes to warm the room up and shout out some love. Absolutely. God's Child, welcome. Lady Tia, welcome. Sugar Tea,
Thriller.
Krista Taylor, absolutely. So I hope everyone has enjoyed last night's live. I know we did about 2.5 hours, tried to give you the best of what we could in terms of the updates that we came across. We still got those updates coming in, but yeah, I had a great time, and this is all for Kenneka, and this is all for her family, and this is why we do what we do. Absolutely. Watch out, squad. Welcome, brother. Machiavelli British, free game. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to get started and got our shout outs going on. And what I'd like to do is
Hey,
definitely,
Leroy.
we are going to be bringing bringing to the forefront tonight's guest. and tonight's special guest, Kerenz Harris, and she has consented to come on board
Mm.
and speak with us tonight and to share her expertise and her background in the field of what she knows best. So, Kerenz Harris, everyone,
Hello.
give her some hearts, give her some thumbs up, give her a shout out, give her a shout out.
Purple hearts. Purple hearts.
Purple hearts,
Purple hearts. J for purple.
absolutely.
Purple.
Yes, absolutely. So, Kerenz, you've been working diligently within Black History Month and everything else like that. You've done several lives. I've enjoyed them
Always.
for the history that you bring to the table. My goodness, yeah.
Always.
You've been rocking
Always.
those beats over there on your channel.
Always. Always. So,
Absolutely,
one of the things that,
absolutely.
okay, if you don't mind, one of the things I would like people to remember about this case is that cases like this can take years. And Jeffrey Fiker is from my state, the state of Michigan, and Mr. Beam actually used to litigate in this as a civil attorney, and he's also licensed to practice criminal law. So, you get them litigating a bunch of cases on the behalf of other people. So I think it's important for us to know that this is a civil case. Okay. Civil cases don't happen overnight. It can take years. This process can take years. So what's good about this case though is that, well, it could be a 50-50. Is that the jurors get to decide and it's not contingent upon a judge's ruling. So that's important to remember. And I'll say it again, cases like this can take years. Jeffrey Figer, nor Mr. Beam, or the host of attorneys they work with are novice at this. Understand that Jeffrey Figer has a team here of 20 attorneys. Mr. Beam has a team there of however many attorneys he has. So you have this big team of attorneys, right, that you're pulling in that specialize in what they specialize in working this case. You also, when you have that team of attorney, you bring their resources, right? You bring in their detectives, right? And so remember, court date for Miss Martin is March the 6th, 2020. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see because you have Mr. Bean and Jeffrey Figer and their host of attorneys submitting motions for discovery, requesting information from Rosemont, the kitchen, realtor company, information that I feel like we never received that we should have had that night. Um, Now you have employees who are being questioned like they should have been questioned that night. So it's going to be interesting to me the amount of information that we don't know that's revealed. Like one of the things that you see, and John can bring it up in the case, is that we didn't know by viewing the police reports that the cameras were operable on the ninth floor. Well, when you look at the warrant that's being made, the claim that's being made against these companies, you clearly see in there. The attorneys put it in there. The camera on the ninth floor was operable. We've seen no video footage from the ninth floor. The cameras were operable that night. That means they were working. Where's the video footage? Um, Furthermore, we also know by the information that we collected the first time that the monitoring was on site. It was not at an off-site location. That Rosemont had control of the IP surveillance system, of monitoring room. They had control of all of that. Okay. So my thing has always been, and hopefully they'll answer this when they get to court, is where's the rest of the video footage? Not only that, um, I also would want to know from the police, how come they did not get a temporary injunction to shut the hotel down, and they should have got a warrant in addition to the warrants they had, and collected the entire system. You don't leave a company who's going to be sued for gross negligence. Let me remind you, they're being sued for gross negligence, not just negligence. Gross negligence. You don't leave it in their hands to do. You don't let them turn over anything to you. It's like a conflict of interest. Why would they turn in anything that's would be incriminated against themselves? That makes no sense. And I also would like to remind people, I've been in Rosemont when we were protesting for one of the anniversaries, and the police department is less than 5 minutes away. They could have walked up the street that night and got there in a timely manner. The first time Kenneka was reported missing, they could have skipped up the street and been there in less than 5 minutes. They did not do that. So a host of things are going to come out in the courtroom, which are going to be interesting to see. And something else that's going to come out is the fact that employees were bypassing her. So you'll get to see. I'm waiting for all of this information to come out in court. So when you see them blur or eliminate certain employees from the scenes in the videos, now I want to hear, what were these people doing? Because clearly they saw it. So they're being sued for gross negligence because it happened on their premises and they could have saved her life. Not only that, when you have IP surveillance system on your premises and video, the video is there for a very specific reason. The video is in any corporation, company, or on any business premises. So situations and circumstances like this and incidents like this do not occur. Therefore, they are being sued for gross negligence. Not only did it happen on their property, that would have just been negligent. But gross negligence is, you had the opportunity and the ability to save her life. You could have saved her life. You ignored it. You ignored her. You
Right.
ignored it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, in reference to, I guess they took at least a year, a little, maybe a little bit more than that, to actually go through a discovery process.
Well, remember, when a case is being litigated, um, even during the litigation process, you can keep doing your motions for discovery. Like if something come up that we didn't know before, but then you submit your motion for discovery, answer all these questions, give us some more information about this. I
Mhm.
mean, and you have to allow people time. Sometimes it's 30 days before the other party can answer. Sometimes it's 60 days. It's contingent upon what the laws are there, what the judge say, how many days you're gonna give this opposing party to answer these motions for discovery,
Right.
and be forthcoming about this. And then if you look at the case, you see, different motions being filed back and forth, motions being amended. But I just want to, what I'm interested to get to in this case is to the witnesses, to hear firsthand from
Yes.
people who were there, and especially the security team, because they were hired to monitor cameras, right? And so I hire you to secure my premises and watch cameras. What are you doing? Somebody knows something,
Right.
and we need to know. And I, and I cannot wait to find this out. Who had access to the cameras? That's something I've been wanting to know since day one. Who had access to all the cameras? Because my belief is this: that whoever had access to the cameras in the kitchen started to disable them from a remote location. Now, that's just my theory. Also, um, I just believe it was edited, straight up, flat out. And I say that from a forensics perspective, not just throwing it out there just to be throwing it out there. I'm saying it from a forensics perspective because in my field, um, it's vital that when incidents like this occur, that you go in and you retrieve your own information, that you go in and you get that hard drive, that you go in, you write block it. So it's in a read only mode. That means you cannot manipulate, alter, or edit the data. You go
Mhm.
in, you write block it, you make sure your algorithms and the hash value match algorithm per algorithm. You have to store it safely. You collect it safely. The atmosphere has to be set at a certain temperature. See, all these things are important. Like, we don't know who went in there to retrieve the electronic information because, according to the documents, the hotel general manager handed over some electronic evidence. And then the police discovered that, oh, in the kitchen, you have red boxes. Okay. Um, so we didn't get all of the information. So then you have the general manager putting something on some thumb drive. See, we don't know that he even retrieved the information correctly from John, and we don't know if
Mhm.
it was just strictly done by hand. See, it's information that we don't know in those police reports. To me, that should have been answered. All of this is a part of the documentation process. Like if I were to go in and I had to retrieve some electronic evidence from a premise, it's a certain protocol that I have to follow to a T. And it's called using the best practices. And the reason you do that is to eliminate questions when you know you want to process, eliminate all foolishness, any bit of folly. You don't want to give the opposing party anything to work, any loopholes on your side. You just don't want to do it.
Right, right. And I think that what you're speaking of pertaining to the video surveillance footage, the hard drive with the raw data, the
Hmm.
metadata, should have been captured while the Rosemont Police Department was on the premises during the investigation.
That
I think they call
night,
that the chain of title or chain of custody. Yeah, at night. Yes, yes.
absolutely, it should have been.
Right. So I know that the Rosemont Police Department had to actually wait for the video surveillance footage to get from the hotel to them, and it took them well over 72 hours just to produce that evidence over to them. And they had the assistant general manager of the hotel deliver this information on a thumb drive, and then later turned over the hard drive. And I just found that incredible uh, to to witness, where the chain of custody was broken by the Rosemont Police Department. They did not obtain the video surveillance
Now,
footage on
do
site.
you mind if I say something? Because, right, do you mind now? If I'm on the team and we're hired to go in, what the police should have done the first day. If you think about the Kenneka Johnson case, the same thing happened, and the FBI said, "You guys told the police department there, you guys were totally sloppy." That's what they told the police department there. You guys were sloppy all the way. They didn't retrieve the information correct. They let the college turn over stuff. See, it's the same thing. And so you get experts who've been in the field longer than myself. I've been in the field for 10 plus years. Say to you, you don't allow things like this to happen when you know a case like this is it's a big case. When you know it's a critical case, you don't allow things like this to happen. I mean, how often do you find a person dead in a hotel in the hotel's freezer? Certain things that you just don't do. And one of the things the police should never have done was turn them. That night they should have left with the IP surveillance system, the entire unit. That night they should have left with cameras and TVs off the wall. That night, that very night, they should have left with all of that evidence, period.
Right. Right. Because I found that to be the strangest thing I've ever seen in a death investigation, where the police are called to the hotel several times, to the hotel in regards to the family actually looking for Kenneka. They were searching that hotel for Kenneka, and rather than the hotel actually assisting in the search for someone that's missing on their property, they call the Rosemont Police Department on the family. On the family. And I found that to be very interesting and very strange in a missing persons situation, you
You know
know?
what?
So, even if, yeah, go ahead.
You know what I find strange? You hired security company. They right there looking at the cameras. Who's monitoring the cameras from the monitoring room? Who's there? What are they getting paid to do? I mean, and usually hotels like this, the higher ups have remote access. They can log in from their house and be viewing stuff that's going on. So my thing is, uh, don't tell me you didn't see something. Don't tell me you don't know anything. And these are the questions that I think will be revealed in court. And that's why I'm going after everybody, because may absolutely like how did she get to the restricted areas? The reason you have the red boxes there, the lights, it which trigger an alarm when a person enters the atmosphere. I did used to work in company also. Our monitoring room. I'm on the opposite side. I work the other side, customer service. Um, from top to bottom, it looks like something that you would see in a movie all day. This is what they're hired to do all day. Sit there and monitor. So let's go to Rosemont. You have a monitoring room, or you have a room somewhere with somebody sitting up watching screens all day. What happened? Off the kitchen, it triggered an alarm. That's what they alarm up. So what happened? What I mean, what happened? They they got
Right.
a lot of explaining to do, but they would not be able to tell me possible to these questions, because what is the purpose of any type of surveillance system on your premises in the first place? And my goodness, why box? And they trigger an alarm and you can't get there. When that alarm triggered, that means you move. Okay, that means you start paying attention to that area. So,
Right. Absolutely.
work about like, like,
Absolutely. But I want to welcome everyone to the chat room this evening. We have our special advocates live going on for those that are just coming into the room. Special shout out to the moderators in tonight's live. Thank you very much for your service and your work. You know how to take care of the room. You all know how to take care of my lives. Yeah. Anyway, we have Kerenz Harris with us this evening, and she's giving us a breakdown of the case and coming from legal background and giving us points of perspective as
Forensics.
to what we should be looking
Forensics.
and forensics, definitely a forensic perspective
Forensic.
as to
I
what
want
we should be
anybody to
looking
think
for.
I'm a licensed attorney because I'm not.
R- Right,
Another
definitely. So,
another thing that I want to another thing that I want to bring up, if you don't mind, really quick, is the let's talk forensics here. Let's talk cameras being in multiple locations. The cameras were on the 9th floor. They were operable. Let's go back to the fact that that's not in the police report. The attorneys brought that out. Let's go back to the fact that it's the warrant that's being brought against all of the corporations that it clearly states um, operable cameras, no data for that. We don't see any of that. Clearly states people, employees bypassing her. And the attorney said that, believe me, they have some information and evidence that we don't.
yeah, Kerenz,
It just the
if you
things
can hear
that
me, take a pause. Take a pause for a minute because we're getting a response from the chat room that the audio is choppy on your side. So we usually wait maybe a few seconds to let the stream clear up. Thank you, chat, for letting us know that the audio is choppy because everything Corinne says, we want to have all ears because it's very important information for us to follow and have a solid train of thought on. And sometimes these streams, do get interrupted with signals and stuff like that. So, we allow at least 30 seconds or more to have the stream clear up. And so that's where we have solid, clear audio for everyone who's joined us tonight. So matter of fact, let's do audio check real quick. How we sound? 1, 2, 1, 2. Do our
you're
one
good on my
twos.
end.
How are we coming?
You're
Okay.
good on my end. You're good. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good, good. Yes, chat room, throw up some numbers to let us know how we're coming in, and then we'll continue. 1's for good, and 2 is not good. Because sometimes the stream gets cleared up after about 30 seconds or so. I'm learning about
Okay.
these technology. Yeah, we got some ones. The ones are floating. Okay, so and everyone can hear Kerenz real good.
Listen, I talk in octaves. Everybody should be able to hear me. I talk in natural octaves.
Okay. All right, great.
Oh, somebody said I'm not good. Somebody says you're good, I'm not.
Oh, I'm good. She's not. Great audio, John. Okay. All right. Well, let's try it again. Let's
Um,
try it again. So we're talking about forensics.
can you hear me? You can
Yes.
hear me good though,
I
right?
hear you good. Yes, I hear you good.
Yeah, and I hear you good.
Mm-hmm. So yes, let's
Okay, she said that was
continue.
better. Okay, Miss Brady. No, that's Brady. Thank you. Okay, Mystic says I sound better now.
Yeah, that's due to the signals that we're getting. So you sound good.
You all okay.
All right. So we're going to pick up where we left off. We're talking about forensics with Kerenz, and she's giving us the breakdown on information pertaining to the case.
It's that um is so extensive when you're doing things like this. Like you need to know what the hotel data policy is, the system override to delete. You know, it's just so much information. But what we can conclude is that when things like this happen, you do your duty to preserve. See a duty to preserve going to Facebook. When I'm looking through the police document for Snapchat and other social media platforms, you do your duty to preserve because you don't want them to delete or attempt to eliminate or accidentally archive to the degree where it takes days and days to find that electronic evidence. You don't want that to happen. So you see them going through, you see the first detective going through following, and then you see the other one come in and get real sloppy behind him. I'm saying, well, the same duty to preserve that went to the website, you have to do that there. Have a IP surveillance system on their property, monitoring, capturing data, to send them a duty to preserve, to make sure they do not delete, edit, or modify any electronic evidence. I don't see, when I'm looking through the report there for the hotel, I don't see it.
Right.
So, like I said, we find out from the attorneys that, oh, by the way, it was cameras on the 9th floor. Well, see any video footage from the 9th floor? Oh, by the way, the freezers don't lock from the inside. They only lock from the outside. We see that in the attorney's case against the corporations. Really state that freezers locks from the outside. And we saw the spin and deflection when it first came out. Oh, she locked herself in the freezer. She was so inebriated, she locked herself in the freezer. Time out. The attorneys went through there, and it's in that case. It's saying the freezers can't lock from the inside. You can't lock yourself in. Somebody else has to lock you in there.
Right.
They only lock from the outside.
Right. Right. Because they have those release valves, those push button release valves, which the Rosemont Police Department during the death investigation did test. And they seem to have been in good working order. They reported them to be in good working order. So there would have been no challenge for Kenneka being shut in the cooler or freezer component at that time. To push that knob just as well with 3 fingers, 2 fingers, or even 1 finger, to push that knob forward, to release the locking mechanism and open that door. And as far as the police walkthrough of the upper kitchen and the cooler and freezer compartments, both doors were in good operating condition. Good operating condition.
Yeah.
And this is
so,
what's puzzling. This is what's challenging for us to say, well, how did she get locked in? How come she couldn't get out? You know, what issue could she have had trying to get out of that freezer and cooler compartment? And it's only left to say that if she couldn't get out, then that mechanism must have locked somehow. And by that mechanism being locked from the outside, because that's the only way with doors from the outside, someone may have inadvertently locked that mechanism without even knowing that she was in there at that time.
now, John, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to go for you don't know a full-fledged body is in the freezer. Oh, okay, because I don't care if it was dark. Your night vision kicks in and causes you to refocus and see things. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going with that.
Right, and
That
that, but
they
that's
did
the
it on an
story that
accident.
yeah, that's the story that they're telling us. So she went in there by accident. She walked in there by accident, and yeah, I never bought that story.
As
I
soon as
never
those
bought
red,
that story.
as soon as those red boxes, as soon as that monitoring system tripped the alarm when she was allegedly in the kitchen area, you knew somebody was there. That's the purpose of them, whether they're capturing data by algorithm or whether they're infrared. And remember, algorithm does a calculation of the atmosphere, of things going on in the atmosphere. Infrared picks up the heat from human bodies to
Mhm.
allow you to know the temperature in the atmosphere has shifted. We don't know if it was infrared or algorithm either, because that's not in the report either. But we do know they have red boxes, and the purpose of red boxes are to pick up, to capture specifically what's going on in the atmosphere and to trigger an alarm. So the alarm tripped. So they still don't have an excuse. The alarm triggered anytime anybody's in that atmosphere, in the perimeter, within that perimeter in the kitchen, it's being triggered. They still don't have an excuse. So they can't tell me that they didn't know,
Right.
because that's why you getting hit for gross negligence. What is the purpose of you having all these electronic devices there to avoid and eliminate things like this, and it still happens? So no, somebody's gonna have to come with some real answers.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And those answers we've been waiting for. I know when they come, which they will,
Mhm.
because the Beam team, along with Jeffrey Feiger, working on this case and everything, they will get the answers that we've been looking for since the inception of this case. That's for sure. That's for
And I
sure.
think, and if you don't mind, if I could piggyback, I think what people missed about that first interview that he did is Jeffrey Feiger made it plain. He said, "I want all of the video footage." He put that out there just as plain as day. He said, "I want it all, all of it."
That's
Kind of
right.
putting the other side on notice that you you thought you was playing a game out here. Now you have a different set of attorneys, and whatever game you thought you were playing before, you need not play that game over here, because now we are going to um, eat you up from a computer forensics perspective, digital forensics perspective too. Since you want to play a game, because they were playing a game. Since you want to play a game, you want to play a game. It was cameras on the ninth floor. We never seen video footage of that. Cameras were in the kitchen, and you saying, "Oh, this camera was inoperable. That camera was inoperable. Oh, now you have all these cameras that were inoperable." But we don't have your data policy. We don't have your data law to know whether or not the cameras were operable before the police got there or not. That's just it. Now prove that they were. See, all of this stuff here, all of this stuff here, just I think people needed to really get what he was saying when he said, "Oh, by the way, the first attorney did do this." When he said, "Okay, you say the freezer locked from the inside. Well, we'll have some engineers come and investigate the freezers. Give us the freezers. We'll see. Let us test them out." Now that was a good thing. That case ended, and now we're on to nitty gritty and wanting the information to be revealed from the realtor company, from the kitchen, from the hotel, because you have people going in and out, large volumes of traffic. Like when they, in the police report, when the food and beverage manager, uh, to me, kind of was very deceptive and said, "Oh, well, the kitchen isn't being utilized." Well, no, the kitchen is being utilized because you have employees going in and out the kitchen every day. Now, the kitchen isn't being utilized or prepared for food. Be specific, because you said the kitchen wasn't being utilized. The kitchen is not being utilized for what? The kitchen isn't being utilized to prepare food. But don't be deceptive in saying, "Oh, the kitchen is not being utilized," because clearly the kitchen was being utilized. We saw employees walking in and out the kitchen. We saw pillows in the one room in the office in the kitchen. You see people going in and out the kitchen. The kitchen was under construction. So don't tell us the kitchen is not being utilized. Now, if you want to say the kitchen is not being utilized or operable for food, that's different. So like I said, it was a lot of answers that um, could have been given that night had the police really did what they were supposed to do.
Right. And for them, excuse me, and for them to have shown up and to conduct a death investigation, and the first responding officer in the upper kitchen, which was Jerry Walsh, Rosemont Police Department police officer Jerry Walsh, who stated over his radio to his supervisors and several other police officers that night that he stated that the body was frozen solid. And why he made that statement, uh, it just goes beyond comprehension, only to find out that that wasn't true at all. Because according to the autopsy, and we've covered the autopsy quite thoroughly on my channel, 5 hours after they conducted the death investigation, Kenneka was received by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, and an autopsy began at 10 a.m. on the morning that they found her. But yet, within the autopsy, the body of the autopsy, under the general information category, she was not frozen at all. Her body was cool, but not frozen. And so that, along with the police officer mishandling and moving objects and items in that upper kitchen before any investigator, lead investigator, or the medical examiner who came,
Mhm.
began moving items to hold the doors open, to hold the cooler door open, to hold the freezer door open, which now changes the temperature of the unit and changes the environment. And that's one of the protocols you don't do, is to move evidence in an active crime scene.
Now, can I piggyback off that if you don't mind? Because
Yeah.
you said the medical examiner, keep in mind, the medical examiner did not show up. That was the coroner's office. And
Hmm.
so it is important to know that um, in a suspicious death, the law states in Illinois that whenever there's a suspicious death, the medical examiners, by per their law, is supposed to come out to the scene. That was an extremely suspicious death. The medical examiners should have been there. You're right. The body should have not been moved until the medical examiners were there.
Right. And I found it very strange also that they took pictures of Kenneka in the freezer compartment, and basically started moving her body in different positions.
Mhm.
And yeah, and they had one police officer sign out from his duties as a police officer, and then moments later sign back in as a photo technician
Foolishness. Foolish.
to take the
And
crime
what
scene photos.
now? Now, see, this is one of the things that one of the top forensic in the world always inform people about Bazin, Dr. Bazin, is that the um, lividity in the body can change and shift. And so that's why you don't come to these scenes moving people around and doing stuff before medical examiners actually get there. You let them come so they can kind of, and Mr. Lee is another one.
Yes,
Most people
Dr.
may know
Lee.
they work with OJ and uh, Jeanette Bonet and, cases like that. They've worked some of the top cases in the world. You don't just go and start moving things like that. You don't just go and start shifting and moving bodies. And in addition to that, another thing that I found was interesting is they tried to discredit Mama T when she said it was a camera there. Her and Lenore said it was a camera there, and they was like, "Oh well, no, no." If they said it was one there, I believe it was one there. Also, if Mama T said Kanika's hair was washing, it was soap scum in her hair, well then I believe her. If her hair was washing, it was soap scum or some type of scum in her hair. So you just get a lot of things going on and happening that should not have occurred had the police did what they were supposed to do. So to me, they have to own and take the blame for their part, as well as the hotel, as well as the kitchen, as well as the security company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The crime scene photos, which we reviewed on my channel, uh, was extraordinary to actually to look at. You know, I have never in my life looked at a crime scene where you have a deceased person who has uh, died unexpectedly in an area and in a place such as a freezer.
Mm.
And for me to have, it took me some time to really comb through the crime scene photos and actually start to look for evidence of not an accident, because the crime scene photo showed more a foul play than anything else that I have ever seen in my entire life. And the information that I was able to glean from the crime scene photos was extraordinary to say the least. Her hair was matted. Uh, it appeared as though that her weave, I think she had a weave in her hair, was wet
Mhm.
from something.
Mhm.
There were
Mhm.
debris, particles in her hair, a busted lip. She had
Mhm.
suffered from cerebral edema, which is a swelling of the brain. Her clothes were absolutely filthy. You can actually see drag marks on the right side of her body, which led right down to her ankle, which had an abrasion, and a cut on the right foot with that right sneaker off. And so,
Now, can we pause for a minute? Can we
yes,
pause for a minute? Can I piggyback off that subremal deep swelling of the brain? Now, um, here's the thing: if they said she died from hyperthermia, if that's the theory, well, hyperthermia is used to stop swelling on the brain. So that's another thing that they got themselves off into, because when you have cerebral edema, which is swelling of the brain, uh, it's been known by that what they use swelling in your brain is they put your body in a hypothermic state. So that just blows through so many different theories that they came up with. Like, when doctors want to eliminate swelling on people's brain, they put their body in like a uh, freezing or hypothermic state to eliminate that swelling on the brain. So I just wanted to piggyback off that. See, it's different things that they put out there that just sit back and this is what you mean. They did not get her body temperature when they found her body. We don't see that in the report. We don't see anybody getting her body temperature in her body yet, so you can actually kind of see what time she died for real. Just different things like that. It just, a bunch of foolishness to me that they got off into.
right, right. Because we found it funny also that according to the autopsy that was done by a medical doctor who was doing a fellowship at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, we found out that there was no more, no less than a trainee that was there to complete their fellowship at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, performing an autopsy on
Mm.
Kenneka and not even recording the body temperature upon arrival of accepting Kenneka for the autopsy. We found that along with a host of other inconsistencies and incompleteness when it came to the autopsy. And so to see one after the other domino, to say from the actual event itself on how Kenneka got into the freezer, up until the hotel involved themselves by the assistant food and beverage manager allegedly finding Kenneka in the upper kitchen, right to the Rosemont Police Department, which investigated her death and wrote it off as an accidental death within a period of 4.5 to 5 hours time to do a death investigation. And on top of that, to allow Teresa Martin and Lenora Harris enter a crime scene to view the body. They normally take you down to the morgue. They would normally take you down to the morgue in order
And I
to, of course, give positive identification of the deceased party. And I found that strange.
and I want to repeat, the most bizarre thing is that the medical examiner should have been on the premises before the body was even moved. They were not. And the medical examiner in the report asked the video footage. Odd that the medical asked to see the video footage instead of actually showing themselves up like they should have per the state of Illinois law in a suspicious death to be there to retrieve their own evidence, to collect their own evidence prior to anyone touching anything.
Right.
No one should have been touching anything.
Absolutely.
And you're taking your pictures, take your picture, but do not touch any. And something else that's taboo is you don't have any forensics. Where did we see any forensics in the police report? We don't have any information in the police report. Any biological forensics from anybody. No finger dusting, no fingerprint impressions from the nothing. Nothing. We don't have them follicles or particles that can come from other people's body. We don't have that.
Right. And I found that very strange indeed. I found that very strange indeed that there were no forensics taken.
No.
Fingerprints, any samples that were around her body in that freezer compartment. There was plastic remnants, as well as maybe some burnt paper, food particles that could have been burnt, and a host of other different types of evidence that was not collected. Dusting for prints on the doors, which was a very important aspect of it. We didn't hear anything of them collecting any kind of fingerprints, especially from the freezer compartment. They would have found out if Kenneka walked into that freezer, right? If Kenneka walked into the freezer, her prints would have been on the door. And had they taken the fingerprints, like they should have, processing that crime scene off the door, that would have been a slam dunk case right there for them to say, the reason why we know that she walked into the freezer is because her prints were on both doors.
What I'd love for them to do was to get the footprint impressions off of the floor and impressions off of the floor so we could, nobody has the same type of footprint impression that you do. And I don't care if they wear the same shoe, the same size that you do. Footprint impressions hit different. So I would have loved for scene to have been taken for us to view and look at. We don't have that from the police. We don't have it. We don't have it. They didn't do it.
Right. Yeah, so in my mind, I hold the Rosemont Police Department negligent in their duties during the course of their death investigation. That is one thing that comes out of this on my side of the table, as well as the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office performing what I had found is an incomplete autopsy. No body temperature. There was no stomach content that was ever reported, whatever she had to eat, whether she consumed anything outside of the alcohol or the pyramate that was found in the toxicology report. And we covered that information to a point to where you can actually see uh, the competency of these professionals in this case. And to find story after story after story after story of police corruption, it baffles the mind. Especially in a place where people are looking up to these authorities for the truth, for the facts, and thoroughness in their professional duties as authorities. So it's incredible to see this case unfold the way it did in reference to how they handled this case.
It really is. But like I said, when I first saw it, people start Kendra John because you have the same sloppy work from those who are supposed to be professionals and have worked the field for years, all over again in an exact same sloppy work and investigations, from medical examiners to police officers to detecting sloppy work. The Johnson case, when the FBI got a hold to the investigation, they told them your work was sloppy. Your work was sloppy all the way around. Sloppy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we can look forward now to this case commencing next month, it appears to be, to get things rolling. And we're going to be getting some answers, finally, as to a lot of the things that we don't know still, in reference to what depositions they were able to actually obtain and from who. Okay, what statements were made under oath? Compare that to the police reports and narratives that the Rosemont Police Department took. So they are going to scrutinize the Rosemont Police Report's narratives with the depositions collected by the legal team, and they're going to tear their stories apart. That's my opinion. That's just my stand.
They are. Yes, they are. They are. They're going to get down to you can kind of see, almost kind of see the way they say you had all these different employees, one thing, but she was supposed to be so inebriated. But you had all these different people bypass. But she was supposed to be so inebriated and you did nothing. Not only did your cameras capturing this, and you still did nothing. Okay.
Right, right.
Makes no sense.
Now, I know that recently, I think on January 8th, story was received and produced by MTV. I don't know if you caught that program regarding the Kenneka Jenkins case and how they handled it.
Can I be honest?
I wanted to get some of your thoughts on that.
Can I be honest?
Absolutely.
Okay. After viewing the first 5 minutes, I shut it off because my perspective is this. You didn't talk to the other side. You did not speak with the police department. You did not speak with any hotel staff. You did not really speak with anyone who would have been there that night directly. So I just blew it off as chasing for ratings. And for 5 minutes, I was done. Because I said, you're not serious about investigating anything from my perspective. And it may seem a little harsh. If people viewing MTV see this, say right, whatever will be, because from my perspective, you were not serious about anything. If you were really serious about something, you really would have went the extra mile. The things that were probably said in there, did they reveal any new information to you? Did you learn anything new? Did you learn who was working that night? Did you learn who had access to the case? Did you know police officers? I mean, did you learn what that policy was? Or was the original hard drive? Did you get a bit by bit copy? I mean, did they give us anything? Did you come out with anything new? Did they reveal any new information in that documentary or whatever it was they did? I just had to ask people. I didn't watch it. Did they reveal anything new?
Right.
Did you
And
watch it? Did they reveal
according
it?
to, yeah, I was able to capture it online once it was posted and review it. I think they just piecemealed it, if you will. Those folks working on the internet, whether they be on Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, etc., on social media, had more information on the case than they did televising it in the 42 minutes that they gave us. And from that point of view, uh, I can definitely say we had more information on this case than they did. And it was only for advertisement purposes. That's just my opinion. But they produced the show to begin with.
So you have people calling themselves investigative, whatever they call themselves, and you didn't meet with any coroners, you didn't meet with any of the detectives that were on the case, you didn't go to the hotel, you just did. But this is supposed to be an investigation journalism or investigative television or whatever, but you still came back with no forensics, no information, lack of any type of evidence for anything. No, nothing. Nothing. You came back with nothing, basically. Okay. No, that's why I didn't watch it. 5 minutes, I was done. Mm, mm-mm,
Yeah, so there was a follow-up that was done by a YouTuber, Chasing Truth, was able to get the producer, MTV producer who produced the show, uh, on a phone conversation, and they did a live on Facebook and actually went
mhm,
over the program from the producer's standpoint. They asked, did they believe that she walked in the freezer? And they asked a series of questions, some very good questions. And from what I gathered from that interview with the producer, uh, they held a very neutral position. They didn't say
mm,
yes to anything, and they didn't say no to anything. They
mm,
found a lot of things strange, but they didn't find a lot of things strange. Teeter-tottering on the fence
mm,
during that interview. I found that very interesting. So they held a very
mm.
neutral position. They didn't really throw anybody under the bus. So I agree 1,000% with you wholeheartedly that we really didn't get anything from the program. You know.
Now, now, can I say this? Because when I went to participate in one of the J for K protests in Rosemont, Illinois, the first thing that I asked the news anchors that were on the ground when I got there, and they kind of looked and was like, I said, "Excuse me, okay, you guys reported this story when it first happened. Okay, everybody was reporting." I said, "But can you tell me, do you guys have a bit by bit copy of the original hard drive that was capturing the data the day the incident occurred?" I said, "Can you tell me who has that? Do you have it? Does anybody have it? Because if they have it, I would like a copy, not an image, because images show up different in forensics. So let me get a copy after I see how it was retrieved, and let me get my team together and let us go through it."
Mhm.
So questions like that you want to ask, If I'm going to go somewhere and call myself as a TV show, whatever, doing some type of investigative documentary, I want to make sure I have all my areas covered. And the first area I'm going to start in is in my field, forensics, computer forensics. I'm going to run a gambit and try to get as much information on that as I can. Then I'm going to hit the coroner's office. Then I'm going to hit the police department. And then I'm going to hit the hotel. They probably won't allow me in, but I'm going to try to force my way up in there anyway. Okay, get a PPO and tell me I can't be on your premises like you did Mama Teresa. Get a restraining order against me if you don't want me on your property. But other than that, if I say I'm investigating, I'm coming to get some information. And I don't want to hear what, tell me something, show me something new that I didn't know. Don't show me what I do know. Get for me something that the police didn't tell me. Get for me something that people didn't point out. Give me something new that's substantiate to go off of. That's substantial that I can go off of. So no, at this point, I can't sit on the side. The full and total responsibility goes back to the hotel, goes back to the police department, goes back to all the parties that were there, the employees that were involved, because they should have spoken up by now and said something. It goes right back to their doorstep. She died on your property, Rosemont, in your hotel freezer, in your kitchen, with you having IP surveillance systems, your premises. The blame goes right back to them, police department. The blame comes to you too, because 5 minutes away, walking distance, you could have been there within 5 minutes. Did not. I got to put it back where it goes.
Right. Exactly. They even had on their program, they had an investigator who reviewed the crime scene photos and came to the conclusion themselves, just by looking at the photos, that yeah, they confirmed that yeah, this person died of an accident. This confirms an accidental death. They also had, mind you, they also had someone who was an expert in the digital forensics pertaining to the video surveillance footage, and actually said that according to their review of the surveillance footage, that nothing was tampered with. Okay, that it would be impossible to tamper with the video surveillance footage, the one that he was able to review, and that there was no alterations whatsoever, etc., etc., and that was his professional opinion. And I said, "Oh Lord, he didn't watch the footage. He was
Well,
paid a check."
can I give my professional opinion, since you know, this is the field that I come from? Can I opinion? I said several times, years after the case first showed up, that on our side, there, to collect the electronic evidence ourselves, we have to be very careful, because we didn't retrieve it. It's not been authenticated when we want to speak on third-party information. And I'll say it again, viewing this for all of the viewership we have done. That's why I said I want original copies of hard drive, bit by bit copies, where the hash algorithms match bit per bit. We have to be really careful. We don't retrieve the professional opinion as nothing, because he was not there to electronically retrieve the information himself. He can't say this electronic evidence has been authenticated, because he was to retrieve the information. Okay. Now, if he has a bit by bit copy of the original hard drive, please do share to the rest of us in the forensic field so we can go through it. Okay. There was no alteration. The thing about forensics is, especially when you're dealing with any type of electronic and you're dealing with anything in real time, everything is alterable, anything manipulated and modified. And you can do that in real time. You can manipulate some stuff in real time. Rogue hackers do it all the time. They do it all the
Absolutely.
time. That's what they're good at. So I don't have to take what he say with a grain of salt and toss it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, couldn't agree with you more about the authentication of the video surveillance footage. And I'm working with a team of content creators right now uh, who've come together and partnered, so to speak, in trying to obtain as much information as we can and for us to independently get that information authenticated. See, because we know from watching all of the footage is as much as they gave us. Okay, because I don't believe it's 36 hours at all. I think it's a whole lot more to it than
Mm,
that. They never gave us any footage from the 6th. They never gave us any full footage from the 7th of September of
mm,
2017. Okay. They've only given us partial of the 7th, and that's when they booked the rooms illegally, fraudulently, and
mm,
pretty much the
mhm,
rest of it is missing. They've given us footage from 12 midnight on the 8th, and then all the way through the 9th into the 10th until they found Kenneka and removed her from the upper kitchen. And so I said, well, who came up with the 36-hour uh, time mark? Why are the timestamps jumping all over the videos? Why are there double timestamps in the body of the videos? Is it the camera clock we should be looking at, or is it the
mm.
player clock we should be looking at? And it was just the most incredible thing to actually review.
Now, from a forensics perspective, when you go through forensics and mathematical equation and you run these through electronic machines and you look for abnormalities in the behavior of anything, anytime, like anytime you see a repeating of any type of scene, for us on our end, we're going to say, okay, looks like an edit because it's repeating. It's a repeating scene. It's a frozen scene. So for us, we're going to say it looks like an edit. When we see sudden lights or light glitches or light changes, we're going to say, well, it looks like an edit. Um, when we see certain timestamps, we're going to say, okay, timestamp repeating, da 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 da, looks like an edit. From that perspective, just there's certain things that are red flags for us that we'll be like, oh, hold up, you know. But it goes back to the police not being there to they were there is not having a warrant to take life in the premises and have their own information themselves. It goes back to that, and I cannot stress that enough. It goes back to the electronic evidence not being authenticated. It goes back to us not having a chain of custody. From that, it goes back to us having on it hitting the police hands. We don't have that documentation. We don't have that. We
Right.
don't have it. All we
Absolutely.
have is them turning over some stuff to the police. So for that person to sit there and say, "Oh, well, I looked and I thought," he wasn't there to retrieve it, so he can't say that. You don't have. He doesn't. He doesn't have a bit by bit copy of the original hard drive. He cannot speak to the authentication or integrity of the data. He can't speak to it because he wasn't there to retrieve it. And if should he step up in any court with that, he already know how it's going to go down. They're going to shut you down for hearsay. That's pure foolishness. That's
All right. So
foolishness.
with the now with the Beam legal team now taking this to court, and this is a trial, 12 jury
Mm-hmm.
trial. We are going to be getting information that we've been long waiting for. That is for sure. And I'm trying to find out if at all if the court proceeding is going to be uh, televised. I From the information that I was able to get, uh, someone on the family's behalf has been trying to get consent authorization to actually have it televised, and so they're trying to I guess, work out the information on that. Whether it can be televised or not. But if it is, I know all of us are going to be finding out
Mm.
what channel it's going to be on, who's going to be actually producing it and everything else like that. I remember years ago, Court TV uh, televised court proceedings and things of that nature, as well as my experience in reviewing the O.J. Simpson trial. And that was done on Court TV, and you can actually see the court proceedings on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and everything else like that. And I found that very educational and extraordinary to actually see that up until the time they acquitted him of all the charges and whatnot. But so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for justice to come out of this gross negligence case for Teresa Martin. I know her attorneys are going to be out of the lion's den, so to speak, and attack this case, vigorously attack it, because of the major inconsistencies that are in this case, and to bring us some solid, clear, 1000% answers that'll give us some closure, all of us some closure. And
Right.
hopefully they can glean information from this that will lead to a criminal investigation to be picked up on and a criminal trial afterwards. I remember what Jeffrey Tiger said this case is going to take a few years to get cleaned up, you know. And I caught on right there. I said, "Whoa!" I said, "That's going to be a uh, some heavy time for them to cover because of all the information and everything." But it sounds like he's in it for the long run, the long haul, and I'm sure that the fight that they're about to have in court is
Mm.
most likely will pretty much go the distance. I'm hoping so. I really do.
It, so can I say this in concluding? It's going to be a battle, and um, what to doing is purchasing the transcripts from the court um, as it happens, as the case transpires, as well as popping up and doing, seeing if I can get in. Um, so I am looking forward to being, back on the ground in that area, because I think it's important for people to realize that um, this was major. This is a major case. This so much of cases of where um, like Malcolm X case is being made, it's being all these years later with John, and all these years later where you have evidence just that was either suppressed or surfaced for new forensics. So um, I'm just I'm looking for something. I really am. I'm looking for something more than what we got from the police department, what we got from the talking head publicist from Rosemond's side. I really am. I'm looking for something more.
Right. Now, when you receive the transcripts from the court proceedings and everything else like that, will you be doing lives to give us coverage on your channel?
I will share. Yes, I will. Definitely be sharing.
Great, great. That's going to be good because if they don't televise it, that doesn't go to cable or any kind of other network that's out there, to have a platform to go to get updated as to how the proceedings are unfolding uh, going forward is going to be of major help to us to help us to know where they are and what's been covered, what still needs to be covered, and so on and so forth. So that's great to know that you're going to be covering that, Kerenz. Definitely. So, all right, the chat room is booming, and we have had a great
Yeah.
discussion. We've had a great
And
discussion
Amp stepped in there
with,
too. Hello, Amp.
yeah, I see.
Amp Easy was in there.
Got Amp.
Amp Easy stepped in there
Amp.
too. Yeah.
Shout out to Amp Easy in the house. Shout out to all content creators that have joined us this evening for tonight's special Advocates Live with Kerenz Harris. She's given us some great information, some great insight as to where we are on the legal side of this case. And we're going to be moving forward. We're going to be looking forward to connecting with Kerenz going forward in the case, getting updates and everything. Suggest you subscribe to her channel so that this way, as these proceedings unfold, she can keep all of us up to date with where things are and where things are going. So yeah, shout out to the moderators that have done their job tonight. I don't have a whole lot of wrenches in my chat room. Everybody is on the
I
cool
do.
side, thank goodness.
I do because I don't like foolishness. I didn't start off that way, but you you get people popping up and then and I'm like I'm not the channel where you can say whatever you want to say. That's not me.
Absolutely. But
That's not
yes,
my channel.
definitely shout out. Yeah, shout out to everybody that's joined us this evening. Put some hearts, some J4K hearts in here for Kerenz Harris for spending some time with us and sharing her expertise and her knowledge and her wisdom in this area, this critical area of the Kenneka Jenkins case, and show her some love for her time with us tonight. It's been a great pleasure to have her on to cover this important, vital information. And I look forward to following up with Kerenz in this case. I'm excited about it. It's come to a point where we're all excited now about it, and we just hope that you know what comes out of it is going to be the thing that is going to satisfy us all, and that's justice for Kenneka Jenkins.
Right, that's correct. And that not some people say closure, but me, I like to say a resolve. A resolve is an answer, a solution. The thing has been rectified. So I'm looking forward to a resolve for, you know, it finally to be made known that, okay, for them to just admit they did wrong. Just admit it. It's the hotel's fault and it's the employee's fault. Just admit it. Police messed up. Don't. played with people. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that said, we're going to say goodbye to Kerenz. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes, give a little bit of an update as to upcoming content creator lives that I've been working on. I want to give you an update. And Kerenz, thank you so much for your time, love.
thank you.
It's
Thank you,
been a
everybody.
powerful evening, and you've done wonderful, absolutely wonderful job tonight.
Right. And if they want any like detailed information, they can just go back and watch my old videos from years ago, 2018. They can just go through it when I do metadata extractions pertaining to the information that they put out there, from when I'm going over in depth on computer forensics and just legal jargon and terminology from a digital forensics aspect, and things to look for, best practices, and a host of other things, just so people can know the language or the lingo of cases or situations like this when it comes to certain things, and know what to look for if something should happen, God forbid, to someone in their family or close friends.
Absolutely, and that's great information to know too, because the legal terminology, the words that they use, is far different than English. That's for sure. It's not everyday English.
Mm-mm. No, it's not.
That is for sure. The chat
All
room
right.
is booming. We got well over had well over 250 people join us this evening. Thank you so much for sharing your time and sharing the love with our special guest that's joined us this evening, Kerenz Harris. Definitely subscribe to her channel. She'll keep us posted on the case going forward, and we look forward to having her back during the interim of the case, because I'm sure that she'll want to share as much as she can. And we're both content creators on YouTube, so we'll be back and forth, keeping up to date as we go forward.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So good night, everybody. Thank you so much, John Kieran, to all of the people in the chat who are real J4K and advocates for people for life. Just continue to hold it down and make sure you have your eagle eyes on in 2020. All right. Bye, everybody.
Good night, Kerenz. All right. Well, definitely. Wow, that was a powerhouse live, and we look forward to following up with Kerenz most certainly. We've got some upcoming lives. We're going to start doing content creator lives, hopefully every week, to keep everybody in the loop. So I've been working on that diligently, talking to content creators by phone, talking to them by email, and getting a schedule ready to have powerhouse lives, because we all have something to say. We all have something to share in our quest for getting justice for Kenneka. And I believe everyone should be heard, especially with the hard work that all the content creators have put into this case the last 2 years. Okay, and so I look forward to speaking with more content creators such as Amp Easy. I'd like to get Amp Easy, Brother Easy, up here and join us for a live. And there are a number of them. We talked about last night, even Boss Blake. We want to have up here Thriller Media to share some of their experience regarding putting together some extraordinary multicam work that they've done with Thriller Media, and a host of others. So if you would like to join us on a live, email me, hit me up, let me know, inbox me. I'd be more than happy to to get you on board with our schedule. We've had Malika the Warrior. That live was powerful. And we look forward to producing more lives with the content creators that have been working so hard and diligently throughout the last 2 years on this case. So, with that said, much love to everyone that's joined us, all content creators that's joined us tonight. Thank you very much. Please hit me up in my inbox if definitely you'd like to schedule something so we can do something together. Your voice is needed and it is important. And for all of you who are still with us in tonight's live, thank you so much. Our hearts go out to you, and much love to you. Enjoy the rest of the week coming up, and we'll keep you posted going forward. We'll keep you posted going forward. And we're going to come to a close. And you know how we close. As always, be well and stay blessed with Godspeed. Until next time. Thank you and good night.